everyone, Cheek here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers Jurassic Park JP-12 and Dilphocon crossover, the second in crossover that Transformers has done with Jurassic Park. I wouldn't mind seeing one from a later movie, or maybe even Jurassic World, but I don't know if Jurassic World's quite old enough or popular enough. But I will say it does have its drawbacks from the original release, which was has a plastic window. This one does not, but because it has does not have a plastic window, I am willing to open it up so I can review it for the world to see and for my own pleasure. This was a gift from my brother, and I finally got around to doing a nice review now that I'm finally catching up on my old reviews, and I hope you enjoy. Here we have the Dilphocon and Autobot JP-12, although given the character that he is based off of, it'd make more sense for him to be a Decepticon, but I guess they have to be a versus pack and whatnot. He is labeled as a Decepticon, and I think it'd be more appropriate, in my opinion, if it was Decepticon and Predacon, or I don't know, maybe Autobot and Predacon, but whatever, enough about that. They come packaged in their alt modes. They comes with this little cardstock box, which I think is really cool. There might be more of a reference on this that I just am not getting because it's been a while since I've seen the movie. And as much as good of a movie as it is, I have only seen it a handful of occasions and not recently. He turns into a Dilphosaurus, and he obviously turns into a Jeep. So I guess let's go ahead and take a closer look at Dilphocon, whatever how you want to pronounce it. His tail does turn into, I guess, an acid sprayer or poison sprayer gun thing, or flamethrower, whatever you want it to be. Especially if you decide to take that off, then it can be pretty much whatever type of throwing weapon you want it to be, gaseous throwing weapon. And then Dilphocon looks pretty cool. I do like the details on that face, the molded in mouth, and then just molded in detail right there on the sides of the chest. The head kind of sticks out a little bit from the side. It does look a bit wonky. Even from the front, it looks a little off. And I do like how the robot parts that aren't as visible in dinosaur mode look kind of like more like leather, which is pretty cool. Like, I guess maybe like leather armor. Nice painted green for the dinosaur skin. And then these right here, they can be removed. They're just on 5mm pegs. And one thing you could do if you wanted to do it, you could just flip the tail back in, put it on there, and then you can have the tail up like that for robot mode. Or if you were so adventurous, you could, I don't know, have Dilphocon use it to help prop him up or something, like a tripod, I don't know. Or because he does have a hard time staying up with these heels. Or just to make him look more like the lizard, I guess. Something like that. But it is something you can do if you want to do that. The head is on a ball joint. Can look up and down a little bit. Gets a little bit wibbly wobbly. Could theoretically do a full 360, but this backpack gets in the way. Arms can go out that far. Can go pretty much do a full 360. I suppose another thing you could do, and I possibly missed this on transformation, is just to rotate the dino arms down, but I guess it depends on what kind of look you want to go for, so you could have them up or down, whatever you want to do. Yeah, not that far. There is no bicep rotation. There is elbow on a ball joint. It gets about 9-degree bend there. Nothing at the wrists. No waist rotation, unfortunately. Legs can go forward that far, back that far. He does have thigh rotation. Gets a little over 9-degree bend at the knee. And he does have a decent amount of ankle tiltage, which I do believe is on a ball joint, but they do have that little notch in there to give you more posability on that joint. And then JP-12. I think one thing that's pretty nifty about this guy is that they decided to, well, make him kind of more rotund, like the character that he's based off of. I suppose this is supposed to be sort of like a Jurassic Park rain cap, because that's kind of what he was wearing. You can take that off and transform with it on there, but obviously this is meant to be Dennis Nedry's face. Oh, and another thing about Nedry, I didn't realize this, I didn't think about it until I saw it written down, but it is, well, just flip the D and R around and it's nerdy, and I feel like that was definitely deliberate on the writer's part. I know this is more of a vehicle mode detail, but I just love that detail right there at the Jurassic Park 12 and just all that detail on there. Jurassic Park on the doors. I don't know exactly. I'd probably. Oh, okay. I think if I'm remembering correctly, the shaving cream can is hollowed out, and he had like dinosaur embryos or something in there. That's probably what it is, if I'm remembering correctly. I think this is supposed to be like a flare that goes inside of that, or maybe it could be the embryo or whatever you want it to be, but I think it's supposed to be a flare. And then he comes with a little gun, which I think is really nifty that they made it the winch for the Jeep, which I think is really nice. You can see the cable wound up in there, and then that just plugs in there for storage, and it looks mighty fine just as is right there, since he didn't really use any weapons. He just used his hacking ability and, you know, computer technology capabilities. I wouldn't exactly call him a tragic villain or anything like that, but I do kind of feel bad for him because he did kind of get taken advantage of by his employer, and a lot of people seem to overlook that, at least initially, I'd imagine. Anyway, this is off to the side for now. I guess I can put his hat back on, because you can transform him with the hat on and just leave it there. The only thing that's a little iffy for vehicle mode storage is the shaving cream can. Yeah, just stay off to the side. Articulation. The head is on a ball joint. You can look up and down. Gets a little bit of wibbly wobbly. The head can do a full 360. Arms can go out about that far. And they can go full 360 that way. A little less than 90 degree bend at the elbow, which is a pinned in joint. Elbow rotation, or bicep rotation, I guess, but it is just above the elbow. Wrist rotation. There is no waist swivel, unfortunately. But then again, I don't know if you really need that necessarily for this guy, but it would have been nice if they had had it. You can pretty much do the full splits. Legs can go forward that far. Can't really go back very far because of the big old Jeep top backpack. Does have thigh rotation. And there goes his hat popping off a little bit. Get that back on. Get on there, would ya? Okay. Over 90 degree bend at the knees, but I will say even though they are pinned in, they are pretty loose, at least in my opinion. Once you get past a certain point, they just kind of flop a bit. And then he does have just a little bit of ankle tiltage on it, what feels like a soft ratchet. So these two are a pretty cool set. If I do say so myself, I think they're pretty nifty. But yeah, has a pretty clean transformation. As you can see, the hat, even though it was giving me some trouble, is wanting to pop off every time I was closing that down around it. But it does hold in place once you get it there. Obviously, it does have like visible head, hands, arms, and feet syndrome. But from every other angle, looks like a pretty convincing Jeep. Even has the dash in there with a steering wheel and all that. Even has back seats. I never noticed that before, but that's pretty nice. Has back seats. And what about the other side? Is there anything in the passenger? It doesn't look like there's much there, but it is a pretty detailed Jeep. I mean, you can even see like the handles and all of that. And then there's another JP-12 or Jeep 12. And that's really nice. Like I said, there is vehicle mode storage for this, for the shaving cream bottle and flare or whatever you want to call it, but it does go right there. I mean, I guess it does stay on pretty well, but not as securely as that and the little handgun. And he rolls decently well enough, but I must say it leaves a little bit to be desired. But I will say the wheels definitely look pretty nice, though, even though I'm almost 100% certain they're snap-on, but they could be pinned on. Actually, yep, they're actually pinned on. Never mind, they are pinned on. They are not snapped on, so that is quite nice. But yeah, I do like the details on this. Definitely would like to compare it to the other set, but the other set was packaged in a nicer box. That's another thing. This packaging looks nice, except I wish they would have done the backdrop in such a way, the packaging in such a way that there's just not holes cut out of the backdrop, because that just kind of ruins it for me. I mean, it's okay from at a glance, but when you look at it closely, it just looks kind of bad in my opinion, and it makes me a little sad, just a little sad about that. And then, of course, one thing that I find really irritating about this mold is that if you have the thighs tabbed into the arms like they're supposed to be, the legs are like this. I don't understand it. Like, why are they so close together? I mean, it doesn't even really stand. I mean, it just looks... I mean, I guess you can get to stand like that, but it feels like the legs should be further apart. Obviously, you can untab those, but if you want it to be perfectly transformed, that's kind of how it's supposed to be. Anyway, this accessory can tab into, or I guess plug into, the mouth. And there you have it, spitting acid, or Dilphocon spitting acid, or whatever that nasty spray is. I think it is significantly bigger than the one in the movie. I think the one in the movie was standing up probably about like this to the Jeep and, you know, sprayed into hit his character and all that. But you can sort of recreate that scene if you get the dino on the Dilphocon, the Dilphocon at about this angle, and then it looks like it's about to get my hand out of the way. Looks like it's about to shoot into the window like that. So that's pretty cool. So you can sort of reenact that scene. But if they had done packaging, like recreating the scene like that, with the clear plastic viewing window, I probably would have kept these guys in the box just like the other one, because the other one, it looks so beautiful. I don't want to mess it up. So that's about it for the Transformers Jurassic Park Dilphocon and JP-12 crossover. And if you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. And until next time, have a good one, everyone.